Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is just attend to, if we're just orbiting around in here, what I'd like to do is actually remove this part, okay, of the roof. So to remove this part of the roof, we need to go back into plan, so press F2. And then I'm going to select this roof and then click on the black dot and select this icon, which is subtract from polygon. Then I'm going to use this geometry mode to draw the triangle that I want to remove from the selected roof. Okay, done. So if you now go into 3D, it's gone, and it's a very neat gone. Okay, very neat, clean cutaway. Great. So then the next thing that we want to do is we want to look at this roof here. Okay, so this roof here, what we discussed in the previous tutorial is that the ridge, although it's a bit difficult to see, it doesn't appear to actually meet this ridge line. It appears to stop perhaps here, which would indicate that this pair of roof planes is actually sitting lower than this ridge. So what we do in the first instance is we're going to draw the roof. So with the same settings as what we had before, I'm going to draw the pitching line over here. Okay. Press the eyepiece with so the eyepiece comes up and I press my left mouse button to the right of that line. And then using this drawing mode, I draw like this. Oh, sorry, hang on. Only draw this sort of shape, this shape here, okay? Because remember, we don't need to draw it as long as what is the length of the roof plane, because we're going to use that scissors click method, which is going to marry the roof planes to the existing roof at the correct intersection points, right? So Control Shift M to duplicate about the midpoint of that ridge line. And then what we need to do is determine now the relative level of this and the relative level of this. Okay, similar to what we did over here when we were determining that the relative level of this pair of roofs as opposed to this multi-plane roof. And what we did here, remember, we lowered this down and then we fixed this end part with the scissors click method. So that's what we're going to have to do here. So I've determined that a rough RL to the ridge here, so these ridges, is 109,560. Okay, this is just an educated judgment based on the photos. Then this one here is going to be, say, 109,180, which is, let's see, 560, 109,180, about 380 mils lower. So this is going to be 380 mils lower. So to do that, it is most accurately done in section, okay? And when I say section, I mean just drawing a section line that is parallel to the grid, because your building is parallel. Remember, this is not going to follow this grid line number 5, because grid line number 5 is not parallel, if you recall from when we first drew the survey based on the site survey that you were given. So I've just drawn a section, and the way I drew the section was to draw the line. So click with my left mouse button, then click with my left mouse button, then click to the left of the line to indicate the section is looking left. Then I'm going to select the section, open the section. Okay, and here it is. Now, the first thing that I need to do is determine, well, what is the RL of this? Because it may well be already 109,560, but actually it's probably not, because the RL to the base of the roof plane is already 107,110. Okay, remember, the RL that is measured for roofs is to the bottom of the roof plane, just like this icon suggests, okay, to the bottom of roof planes. So what I'm going to do is put in an RL level dimension by clicking on the dimension in the toolbox, then making sure this construction method is active. Then I'm going to click once, click twice, click, hang on. Let's go dimension here and then go, it's not letting me do it. Oh, here we go. Okay, so let me just repeat what I did. So I'm just going to escape out of that just so I can redo that exercise because I'm not sure that was that clear just a moment ago. So click to select the dimension in the toolbox. Then go to this construction method, which is the RL, relative level dimension, and then click twice on the point. Sorry, 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, and then come out to, oh, it's not letting me do it. Hang on. Okay, so you need to do 2 clicks and then pull out, and then the hammer comes up, and then you click the 3rd time. Okay, so this is 109084. Okay, so I'll just do that dimension again. Okay, so you've activated the dimension tool, you've selected this construction method, then you go to 2 clicks and then pull out and then click your 3rd click. Okay, so I'll do that one more time. So it's activate the dimension tool, make sure this construction method is active, then it's 1, 2, and then pull out, oops, 1, 2, and then pull out, 1, 2 in quick succession. No. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, and then pull out to 3. Okay, so 109084. That means this, all these roof planes, so all of these need to be moved up. Okay, so 109560 less 109084 gives me, it needs to be moved up by 476. So I'm going to go Control D, and then I'm going to drag in this direction, press the tab key and go 476. Okay, and then just because I didn't pick up these, I'm just going to select these, just go Control D and then drag it to here. Okay, so notice how the RL levels changed as well. So it's 109560. Now this one on this side, I'll just do the dimension again. So it's double click, okay, and then so that's 109316. Okay, so that means it's got to be lowered. So 109316 minus 109180, which is what I discussed the RL of this roof should be. So select, go Control D, and then the difference is 136. So tab 136, and then Control D, and then tab to snap to here. Okay. Oh, hang on. Let's just redo that. So I'm just going to delete this dimension. Okay. So 109316 minus 109180 gives me 136. Okay, so I'm going to select this, go Control D, and then move this down by 136, and then select and then move down by 136. Okay, now the dimension hasn't gone with it because I haven't actually selected the dimension this time to move, but if I were to, then I'd go Control D and then move it to here. Okay, so so then, oops, and this one I just noticed here has to be moved, Control D, into place here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into F5 and and this roof plane needs to be now fixed to this roof plane. Okay, so press O to get out of orbit, select this roof plane, hold the control key so the scissors come up, and then click. Then orbit around to the other side, press O to get out of orbit, hold down the control key, and then click. Okay, now in the same way that we had to fix the roofs of the neighbor on the right for this part here and this part here, we've got to do the same. Okay, so remember how we fixed the roof here, okay, so that this roof here, we fixed the node, we inserted a new node and then moved this node. We've got to do this here. Okay, so we're going to click on the edge of the roof, go click, and then go insert new node, and then click on the edge of the roof, and then insert new node. So notice how it's got to be snapped to the intersection between this roof and the edge of itself here. So then click on the dot, make sure it's move node, and then click. Okay, and then click on the dot and then move node, make sure it's move node, which it is, and then click. You may find that it's helpful to hold down the shift key so that it's constrained to straight. Okay, so press F5 again so that we could see, and so it's fixed this junction here, and we've just now got to put some walls in. And so we're going to put walls in a similar fashion to what we did here. Okay, so if you can remember what we did, we went to the wall tool, made the walls 150, 50, made them very high because the intention is to make the walls a height that is over and above the roof planes, so that we can trim off the excess of the walls that poke up over and above the roof planes. Now, we talked also briefly that this generic wall has this cover fill or vectorial hatch, which gives it this funny sort of weatherboard type cladding on the outside, which we don't actually want. So we're just going to change it to generic site. Then all the other parameters at this stage are fine. Press OK. We just made sure that it's on site context. Press OK. Now, we need that 100mm offset. So we need the assistance of the drafting aids, because if we were going to just draw the wall now, it's just going to draw the wall with no roof offset. It's just going to draw it along the edge of the perimeter of the roof footprint now. So we want to get the offset tool. It's in the drafting aids. Okay. And then we go to offset constraint, and we begin drawing the wall in the anti-clockwise direction. Oops, hang on, it's going to be polyline. Okay, so drawing the wall in an anti-clockwise direction. Oh, silly. Sorry, I'm being silly. I didn't select the offset before I drew the walls. Okay, so let's just undo this. And what I would do actually before I even draw the walls is I'm going to select all the roof planes and just move them into place. So I'm just shift clicking all the different roofs. Okay, so I've got quite a few roof planes, so I'm just going to go Control D. I'm just going to move this to here, okay, because that's technically where it is footprinted on site. Well, actually, technically, it's probably a little bit back from the boundary line. Okay, it's probably like that. All right, so this is just ignoring the skew on the side. Now let's draw that roof. Let's draw that wall. So what we want to do is go to wall tool. All the settings are just as they were. Now to get the offset, we need to go to here, offset constraint. And so you know that the offset constraint is active because the cursor has that little offset icon that's following it around. So remember, just draw the roof, draw the wall in an anti-clockwise method. Okay. Then we get to here, and now because the offset is active, it's asking us, well, do we want to offset inward by the direction that we're moving our cursor, or can we offset outward? Because we can do that too. So we can offset inward. So we just have to push the cursor in the inward direction, then press tab and offset by 100. Okay. All right. Now, if we marquee just over this neighbor, and then we press the F5 key, then we've got the same situation that we had with the neighbor on the right, okay, that we first drew. What we want to do is to trim these walls. So we select the walls, go to design, and then go to crop to single roof plane, and then crop to element to top. And then we've got a fairly neat building, well, neat enough for our purposes. And so what I'd like you to do is put in the windows in a similar way to how we put in the windows of this building in here. Okay, don't worry about the awnings on the individual windows. Just put in the windows as niche windows, similar to the windows that we're putting here.